It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, we've heard for way too long that the Document Imaging Channel is in perfect position to sell IT service. Greatest salespeople in the world. Talked about this a lot. Every time I hear it, I say bullshit. Here's the deal, my friends. The Document Imaging Channel has been in position to sell IT services for like 10 years. The problem is they're stuck in position. They have to actually go out and execute on delivering IT services for them to be successful at it, right? You got to go deliver it successfully, profitably. It's not about being in position. It's about executing from the position you're in. It's all about execution. So today I want to talk about one of the dilemmas that goes on inside the Document Imaging Channel. And that dilemma is, how does a sales rep that's focused on selling products move into selling services? I got a great suggestion for you, folks. You know, during this global pandemic, this virus, this lockdown, all the nonsense that went with it, businesses out there all over the world are changing their processes. They're not sure about their print volumes. I mean, end users are actually really getting involved for the very first time in the conversation around print equipment. Remember the video I did about the bank sending the email to all employees? So they're getting involved in this. Where are we going to be? We don't know what the landscape's going to look like when things get back to normal. All these conversations they're having are forcing them to kind of stick where they are. In other words, the leases are at evergreen, or they went ahead and just paid off the lease and they're keeping the equipment and the incumbent's providing the service on it. Here's where you come in. What if you're the dealership that allows your sales reps to go out there to your competitors' accounts and sell service agreements on their existing equipment? Change the conversation, change the game. Could you imagine? Could you imagine a sales rep walking into a customer and saying, "Oh, I hope you didn't upgrade your copy machine or your printers. Are you kind of sticking where you're at because you really don't know what you're going to be doing a year from now? I mean, that's a fantastic strategy. I hope you're doing that. If you're not, we want to help you." Can you imagine the customers thinking, "Well, you mean you don't want to sell me new equipment?" No. There's no reason to buy anything. We need to figure out what you're going to be doing in the future. Just keep what you got. We'll service it. You see where this is going? We'll service it. Could you imagine if you went to your competitors' accounts and took over the service agreements on their existing equipment, and you actually saved the customers some money on just the services because you're one of those dealerships that's diversified into other services? Wouldn't that be good? But let's say you haven't diversified yet, but you really want to. And you know you got to start selling IT. You know you got to start changing paid plans. You know you got to start changing processes. Well, just go sell print services on its own. That'll help you do a lot of those process changes. You'll have to figure out how to pay your reps for service revenue with our hardware. You'll have to educate your reps on broader service conversations, not about overspeccing and overselling giant A3 copy machines. Ladies and gentlemen, over the next year and a half, I'm going to focus a lot on IT services. I really want the dealerships to be able to deliver it as successfully as my good friend Milton Bartley down there in Nashville. I mean, just get close to him and you'll be knocking it out of the park. And I'm going to spend a lot of time and effort to put together the right people to help me do that. But right now, if you're that copier dealership that wants to get into services, go out there and take the service away from your competitor. Go take the service on the printers away from them. Because here's what's going on, folks, and you know it, and hopefully you're not doing this. But you know when the customer says, "I want to just go ahead and pay the lease off and keep the equipment," or "just let me stay in evergreen until I decide what I want to do." So there's some options. You know what the incumbents usually do? They jack up the service. They'll tell the customer, "Well, that's okay, but we're going to have to raise your service cost." You know? And then they're hoping the customer will do the math. And of course, if the customer doesn't do the math, they'll go ahead and do it for them. And they'll say, "Well, you know, it's really cheaper for you to go ahead and get into a new 5-year lease or a 7-year lease." There's some nuttiness out there, folks. And it'll be cheaper for you. But see, they're still basing that on a volume. And whether that volume is, a flat rate, a chair-based billing rate, it doesn't really matter. It's based on a volume. And we don't know where the volumes are going to be. We have to be honest with the people. So figure out a way to go in there and sell them a service contract. And then, if you're one of those lucky dealers that took the time, I don't want to say lucky, but you're one of those dealers that said, "We're going to get into IT services," and you started doing it like 7, 8, 10 years ago and you're good at it, think about what you can do with your reps. It's not about selling them a new copy machine with service agreements. Go ahead and sell them a service agreement on the copy machine and then sell them some other services. Be a real service-focused business. Start with your competitors and then do it with your own customers. But isn't it ironic that the Document Imaging Channel, an industry that's in perfect position to sell IT services, can't even sell print services unless they include hardware? They haven't figured that out yet? I think that's kind of ironic. Next time someone tells you, especially from the IT services side of business, and they tell you you're in perfect position, we want to help you sell IT because you're in perfect position, throw them out of your office. Because you're not in perfect position just because you sell copy machines. You might be in a better position if you were able to go out and actually sell service agreements on copy machines without selling any hardware. At least you understand the service space. You've already figured out a compensation plan for the reps that do that. Just something to think about, my friends, because this continuous education on trying to figure out how to bill and all this crazy nonsense, we need to start focusing on what our costs are to deliver. We need to start getting robust platforms behind us that help us do things to change the game and change the landscape. I think about all my friends that are using NextEra as a great example. They have all the information. They can share with you what it costs by model to service stuff. You'll know. So think about it, my friends, because if we can't sell services on print equipment, something we've been doing for 50 years without selling a piece of hardware, can we really sell IT services? Are we really in position? Will we ever execute from the position? Probably not. It'll be another wasted 10 years. Let's change the game and shake things up because we all know this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.